Lyle Wayne here. Today we're getting ready to talk about water conservation. This seems to be a subject that is often dear to an awful lot of people because, well, just like here the other day, I found out in the Aurora Sentinel here, water rates set to jump in 2010. Well, consequently, where water is being used so much in the house, I found another article on this old house, and it says in here that the average family water usage is 45% from your toilet. The average home has about 2 toilets in it, and if it's a family of 4, they're going to be flushing those toilets at least 12-15 times a day, and consequently that's where a lot of the water goes. So today what we're wanting to talk about is a little bit of a toilet tune-up. And why? Why is all this water going down the toilet? Probably one of the most common problems is the fact that the float is not set right inside the toilet. What happens is that this thing is designed so that when you got the water coming up to it, instead of running over the top in case something happens, it has what's called an overflow. Well, the water gets to that overflow, and if this float hasn't shut it off, it's going to run down the overflow. Now, the average person, if you look down inside of the toilet bowl and you see the water kind of rippling a little bit, that means that there is water coming from the tank going down into the bowl. But the average person ain't even going to see it. I had a guy call me up here the other day and he said, Lyle, he said, my water bill was $400 last month. Why? He said, it's in the winter time, we haven't been watering our grass. So we goes out and we take a look, and sure enough, 2 of his toilets was overflowing, not a lot, but just enough to cause it to make the water bill go sky high. Now there's several ways that a guy can adjust this. This particular toilet is probably one of the most common that you're going to find. It's got a float in it. As the water level comes up, the water is shut off coming up through here and going down into the bowl. You can adjust this. There's a screw here that takes the float down and makes the water go lower. But if you get too low, then you don't have enough water to be able to make the flush go. A lot of the problems also is clear down in the bottom. If you'll notice, when you flip the lever, the flopper comes up. Well, this flopper is what allows the water to go down into the bowl. Now, this flopper has a tendency to wear out, and to be able to replace the flopper, it's a matter of reaching down in and taking it loose. It's got a clip on each side. Once those clips off, then you can take the flopper and lift it out. Now, the flopper, what happens is, most of them are so cheap with the plastic that they have, this starts warping and allows water to go into the side of it. Now, there's 2 ways that you can repair this. One is throw that one away, get a new flopper, and install it. The other way is to install a whole brand new system. Now, here a while back, like I told you, I've been doing a lot of reading and stuff, I've come across an item. It's called a Hydro-Rite. Now, what the purpose for this Hydro-Rite is that it replaces the flopper. Instead of putting this down inside the bowl, now we have this. Now, what this apparatus does is that it gives you what's called a dual flush. This I like extremely well because let's take, for example, you have just water that you want to flush down. You push the one button and it flushes very lightly just to get rid of the water. Then when you have solids in the bowl, or if you have paper in the bowl and you're wanting a heavier flush, then you push the second button. Now, what this does is allows more water to go down into the bowl. The other side of the point is this apparatus will actually save you as high as $105 per year. Now, I don't know about you, but that's quite a savings. Plus the fact, if you do this in every one of the toilets, you're going to be saving even more than that. To be able to install this, we've got a problem. This particular toilet with a float will not allow this to go down in where the flopper came out of. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to take this float out and install a float that will actually work in it. I like this float very well. I've used a lot of these on a lot of homes, and it's a very, very simple item to replace. To replace them, it's just merely being able to go underneath the toilet. I'm going to use this one here because it's easier to show of how it works. To be able to take the float out, we've got one nut. That nut comes off. Once the nut has been extracted, then this allows us to be able to take the old float completely out. Now, if you'll find on a lot of the older toilets, this is very, very common for this float to go out. Now, once this float is out, it needs to be replaced. Now, the other side of the coin is that when you are installing the Hydro-Rite, we're going to have to take the lever out, because now we're going to have a push button instead of a lever. Now, don't forget, when you're taking this lever out, this nut down inside here is a left-handed nut. They put that on there so that the nut won't be coming off every time you use the lever to flush it. Once that's off and the lever comes back out of the hole, we're going to take this float out. This float's going to replace the other one so we can get the Hydro-Rite down inside it. We have several adjustments that goes with this for each individual toilet. When you take this apart, we have this thing that comes off, and then we have the rubber that comes apart. Sometimes it'll pull apart, sometimes you have to take a knife and cut it. This particular one I'm going to have to do a cut job on. Take your knife, cut the little prong, and then it'll pull apart. This washer's for a whole different hose. This is the washer we want. So we put the washer on the end of the float, push it back down, and this goes down in the hole. This goes in the exact same hole that you took the other one out of. Once it's in, we take the new nut. We took the new nut on it. We're going to tighten it down.